The ultimatum. The vast darkness of space held no comfort for those who knew what lurked within its depths. Supreme Commander Valkyr of the Nexarian Empire stood on the command bridge of the Inevitability, his flagship dreadnought, gazing at the small blue-green planet displayed on the main view screen. His 6 iridescent eyes narrowed as data streams cascaded around the holographic projection. "Report," he commanded, his voice a harmonious blend of tones that reverberated through the bridge. Science Director Mavis stepped forward, her slender form gliding across the polished floor. The planet designates Sol 3, locally known as Earth, houses approximately 8 billion sentient beings called humans. Technologically advanced enough for rudimentary space travel and global communications, but militarily primitive by our standards. No unified planetary defense system, minimal orbital infrastructure, and a fragmented global governance structure. Valkyr's mouthparts clicked in satisfaction. The Nexarian Empire had subjugated 23 star systems using the same methodology. Identify resource-rich worlds with developing civilizations, issue impossible demands, then conquer when those demands were inevitably rejected. The pattern had never failed. And their military capabilities? Valkyr inquired. Primitive nuclear weapons, chemical propellants, no energy-based weapons systems of significance. Their most advanced vessels can barely reach their own moon, replied military strategist Center, mandibles twitching with barely contained amusement. Most notably, they expend considerable resources fighting amongst themselves. Over 3,000 distinct conflicts recorded in their last millennium alone. Perfect, Valkyr purred. Establish communication with their primary leadership structure. Within moments, the view screen shifted to display a human female in formal attire, flanked by various other humans in similar dress. The woman spoke, her voice translated through the ship's systems. "This is Secretary General Lin of the United Nations. We are receiving your transmission. On behalf of Earth, I extend greetings." Valkyr straightened his massive form, towering nearly 3 meters tall. His exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights as he addressed the human. "I am Supreme Commander Valkyr of the Nexarian Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our dominion. You have exactly one of your planetary rotations to surrender all sovereignty, relinquish control of your resources, and submit to Nexarian rule. Resistance will result in your species' extinction." Secretary General Lin's expression remained remarkably composed. "Supreme Commander, this is quite sudden. Our global governance requires time to convene and discuss such matters. We request an extension of 72 hours to provide our response." Valkyr's upper limbs twitched in annoyance, but he calculated that allowing this delay would only showcase human disorganization and fear. "Granted. But know this. The terms are non-negotiable." As the transmission ended, First Advisor Kelthera approached Valkyr with uncharacteristic hesitation. "Supreme Commander, there is an anomaly in our analysis that warrants attention." "Speak," Valkyr commanded. Despite their technological limitations, humans have displayed an unusual affinity for warfare. Their historical archives detail continuous conflicts, yet conspicuously lack examples of species-wide surrender. Moreover, their rate of technological advancement accelerates dramatically during periods of conflict. Valkyr dismissed her concerns with a gesture. "All the more reason to strike decisively. Their division is our advantage. Prepare the invasion fleet." For the next 72 hours, the Nexarian Armada positioned itself strategically throughout Earth's solar system. Thousands of warships, troop carriers, and planetary bombardment vessels formed an inescapable net around the blue planet. Meanwhile, Nexarian intelligence intercepted frantic communications between Earth's nations, arguments, accusations, and apparent chaos. "Their response time has elapsed," Valkyr announced. "Re-establish communication." Secretary General Lin appeared once more on the view screen, appearing tired but resolute. "Supreme Commander Valkyr, I speak now with the unanimous authority of all Earth's nations. We have considered your demands carefully. Valkyr leaned forward expectantly. Surrender or defiance, either would serve the Empire's purposes. We reject your ultimatum, Lin stated calmly. Then you have chosen extinction, Valkyr replied, mandibles flaring in what passed for a smile among his kind. No, Commander, Lin corrected. We've chosen to educate you. There's something fundamental you should understand about humans. We don't go to war. Confused murmurs rippled through the bridge crew. Military Strategist Center stepped forward. Your historical archives suggest otherwise. Human, your species has engaged in constant warfare. You've misunderstood, Lin replied with the slightest smile. We don't go to war because war implies the possibility of losing. The view screen suddenly split into multiple feeds from across Earth's surface and orbit. What had appeared to be civilian satellites began transforming, unfolding into weapon platforms. From the oceans rose massive structures housing missile arrays. And most alarmingly, the moon, Earth's very moon, began shifting, revealing artificial seams and enormous cannons aimed directly at the Nexarian fleet. We've been monitoring your empire's expansion for decades, Lin explained. Each world you conquered broadcast desperate warnings into space. We heard them all. We prepared. We unified. Not in governance, but in purpose. First Advisor Kelthera's exoskeleton paled. Stealth technology far beyond our detection capabilities. They've been concealing their true military strength. Impossible, Valkyr exclaimed. Our scans were thorough. Your scans detected exactly what we wanted you to see, Lin continued. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak invites aggression. So we created the ultimate camouflage, a facade of division and vulnerability designed to entice predators like you. The first volley from Earth's lunar defense system struck 3 Nexarian ships at the fleet's edge, vaporizing them instantly. Alarms blared across the inevitability as targeting systems locked onto thousands of previously concealed human vessels emerging from hiding positions throughout the solar system. You should know, Lin continued, that we've already dispatched liberation forces to the 23 worlds you've conquered. They will be free within the week. Orders, Supreme Commander, Zentar asked. His earlier confidence evaporated. Valkyr stared at the screen, at the human who had outmaneuvered an empire with millennia of conquest behind it. You have one opportunity to surrender, Lin said. We don't go to war, Commander Valkyr, because when humans fight, it isn't war, it's extinction. For the first time in the history of the Nexarian Empire, a Supreme Commander considered retreat. The revelation. The command bridge of the inevitability fell silent as the crew awaited Supreme Commander Valkyr's response. The massive view screen displayed Secretary General Lin's calm expression alongside real-time footage of Earth's unveiled defense systems, thousands of orbital platforms with weapons trained on the Nexarian fleet, submarines surfacing with missile batteries deployed, and the lunar installation, a marvel of engineering that had somehow remained undetected during all their scans. Stand down all weapons, Valkyr finally commanded, his harmonious voice now flat and monotone. Maintain current positions. Supreme Commander, Military Strategist Center protested. We still outnumber their visible forces. We cold. Silence, Valkyr roared. Their technological deception suggests capabilities far beyond what they've revealed. We will not risk the fleet. He turned back to the view screen. Secretary General Lin, I propose an immediate cessation of hostilities and diplomatic dialogue. Lin nodded. A wise decision, Commander. We invite a delegation from your ship to our International Space Station. Come unarmed and with no more than 5 representatives. 6 hours later, Valkyr found himself seated in a conference room aboard the human space station, accompanied by First Advisor Kelthera, Science Director Mavis, and 2 security officers. Across the table sat Secretary General Lin, flanked by military officials and scientists from various Earth nations. I must admit, Lin began, we expected this confrontation much sooner. Your empire has been on our radar since you conquered the Centauri system. How? Mavis asked, compound eyes blinking rapidly in confusion. Our stealth technology is unparalleled in the known galaxy. A human scientist, Dr. Abrams, according to his identification, smiled. Not anymore. We detected your quantum wake signatures 80 years ago. Primitive by our standards now. Valkor's mandibles clicked in disbelief. If you possess such advanced technology, why maintain the charade of a divided, technologically inferior species? Strategy, answered Admiral Chen, a stern-faced human with gray-streaked hair. Humanity united centuries ago, not under one government, but under a shared philosophy. We maintain the appearance of division because it serves us. Our apparent vulnerabilities are carefully crafted. But the constant conflicts among yourselves, Kelthera inquired, mostly simulated or controlled. Lin explained. What you interpreted as wars were often training exercises or minor regional disputes managed under strict protocols. Real conflict exists, but at a fraction of what we allow outsiders to perceive. Your statement that humans don't go to war. Explain this philosophy, Valkor demanded. Lin leaned forward. Throughout our history, humans fought wars with uncertain outcomes. Eventually, we realized this approach was inefficient and dangerous. We developed a new doctrine. Never engage in conflict unless victory is absolutely guaranteed. Hence the camouflage. Valkor concluded, beginning to understand. You appear weak to assess potential threats without revealing your capabilities. Precisely. Admiral Chen confirmed. When we detect aggressive civilizations like yours, we study them extensively before deciding how to respond. And the other worlds in our empire? Valkor asked, already suspecting the answer. As we speak, human liberation forces are freeing them, Lin stated matter-of-factly. Not through war, but through overwhelming technological superiority. Your garrison forces are being disabled without casualties wherever possible. Valkor's exoskeleton seemed to shrink around him as the implications became clear. The Nexarian Empire will need to adapt, Lin finished for him. We're not interested in conquest, Commander. We're interested in stability. Over the next several days, as Valkor remained on the station, human representatives shared more about their civilization. They revealed technological marvels that defied Nexarian understanding. Matter-energy conversion systems, gravity manipulation on planetary scales, and faster-than-light communications that operated outside normal space-time. Why reveal all this now? Valkor asked during one such demonstration. You could have simply destroyed our fleet. Dr. Abrams, who had become something of a guide to the Nexarian delegation, shook his head. That's not our way. Destruction is inefficient. Conversion is preferable. Conversion of enemies into allies, Abrams clarified. Humanity expanded beyond Earth, not through conquest, but through cooperation. The societies that joined us willingly have flourished. Those that resisted eventually saw the benefits of alignment. Valkor began to understand the true extent of human influence in the galaxy. How many worlds? Directly, over 200 systems. Indirectly, thousands, Lin revealed during their final meeting. What you're being offered, Commander Valkor, is an opportunity, not subjugation, but partnership. And if we refuse, there is no refusing reality. Lin stated simply, your empire as you knew it has already transformed. Your choice is merely how you wish to participate in what comes next. As the Nexarian delegation prepared to return to their ship, they received transmission after transmission from Nexarian colonies, not reporting defeat, but describing the humanitarian aid, technological upgrades, and peaceful transitions being implemented by human forces. Back aboard the Inevitability, Valkor gathered his senior staff. We have been operating under a fundamental misconception, he announced. We believed ourselves to be the predators in this galaxy. We were wrong. What are your orders, Supreme Commander? Zentar asked, subdued. We adapt, Valkor replied. We learn. We evolve beyond conquest. Within a year, The former Nexarian Empire had been reorganized into a coalition of autonomous worlds under a new charter emphasizing cooperation and shared advancement. Valkor, no longer Supreme Commander but now First Representative, found himself addressing the human-led Galactic Council. The lesson we learned from humanity was profound, he told the assembled delegates. True strength lies not in the ability to wage war, but in creating conditions where war becomes unnecessary. Humans don't go to war not because they fear conflict, but because they've mastered the art of making conflict obsolete. As his words echoed through the chamber, representatives from hundreds of worlds, many recently liberated from Nexarian rule, nodded in understanding. The human philosophy had spread throughout the galaxy. Prepare so thoroughly for conflict that it never becomes necessary. Secretary General Lin, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Council, approached Valkor after the session. "You've come to understand us well," she observed. "I've had excellent teachers," Valkor replied. "Though I still wonder, what would have happened had we chosen differently? Had we attacked despite your warnings?" Lin's expression grew solemn. "As I told you then, Commander, humans don't go to war. When we fight, it's extinction. But our greatest achievement isn't our capacity for destruction. It's that we've rarely had to demonstrate it." As they looked out at the stars through the council chamber's vast windows, Valkor understood the true meaning behind the human philosophy. The species that had appeared so vulnerable, so divided, had in fact achieved the ultimate power, the ability to shape the galaxy without firing a shot. Throughout civilized space, the message spread from world to world. Beware the species that doesn't go to war, for they have transcended it entirely.